Hello and welcome to Cosmological Arguments. I'm your host, John Bannon. The argument from randomness. The argument from randomness proves the existence of God by demonstrating that the perfect randomness observed in the cosmos requires an infinite intelligence we call God. The cosmos creates perfect randomness at the quantum level, where the result of an event is independent of the past and future influences. Consequently, the event is not determined by any physical cause, although it transpires in our physical universe, but rather by a trans cause originating beyond our phenomenal level. A timeless omniscience or trans intelligence with infinite computational wherewithal is necessary because knowledge of the past and future must really be known to truly render a correlationless behavior, making sure that the same random result is not repeated over and over again. The true absolute randomness observed in nature proves the existence of an infinitely intelligent entity we call God. This is a very unusual cosmological argument. Usually, the theist does not concede that there is perfect randomness at the quantum level, or that there isn't a cause for some sort of physical behavior at the quantum level. However, this argument turns the atheistic argument that these acausal physics proves there is no God on its head. So acausal physics is things like the Heisenberg uncertainty principle, where the position and momentum of a particle cannot be known at the quantum level simultaneously, or let's say the radioactive decay of an element, exactly when that occurs and why it's considered uncaused in physics. The truth is it is caused by the Big Bang, but nevertheless, this argument takes advantage of that atheistic argument and says that, okay, well, if randomness is perfectly random at the quantum level, well, then only an infinite God with infinite computational abilities or powers would be able to pull that trick off, because it's generally considered that perfect randomness is an impossibility. However, at the quantum level, if there's perfect randomness, well, it becomes a real problem as to how exactly that happens. What is capable of creating perfect randomness? And the answer is, well, it's going to take an infinitely intelligent God in order to do that. So, creating a perfect randomness it's extraordinarily difficult, and it takes an infinitely intelligent God to do it if it exists. And the reason is because if you're talking about a random event, purely random event, that means neither the past nor the future could have a causal effect on it, which means you need something to remember what the past and the future is, so that the thing that occurs does not correlate to either of those events. And not only does it have to remember this particular event, it has to remember every event just like it at the quantum level throughout the history of time in the cosmos. And it can never repeat itself, ever. Every quantum event has to be uniquely random and different. Well, the only thing capable of doing that would be an infinitely intelligent being with infinite computational abilities who remembers everything that ever occurred in the universe at the quantum level in order to create a perfect randomness. So when you understand perfect randomness and how inconceivable that is, the only way it can be done is with an infinitely intelligent being like God. So if there is perfect randomness at the quantum level, then it requires a God to be able to pull it off. All right. If you want to use a symbol for this argument, I would use this. So this is a three-dimensional box. It's supposed to represent a die, and it's pointing up towards God. So if the universe is determined by a roll of the dice, then it's a very special die we're talking about, because it's much harder to create a perfect die than a loaded die. And a perfect die requires an infinitely intelligent God in order to make it work. So this represents that infinite die that only God can roll, that perfect randomness. Okay, I hope you learned something. This is a rather unique cosmological argument, and it could be very effective against atheists who like to bring up quantum mechanics and Heisenberg uncertainty principle and acausal physics as some sort of proof that God doesn't exist. All right, I hope you learned something. Take care.